If you love powerful stories about betrayal, ambition, revenge, and rising stronger than ever, then make sure you subscribe to my channel right now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join this community of people who believe that no matter how deep the betrayal, we can always come back stronger. Because today's story, it's not just about revenge. It's about power. It's about control. It's about what happens when trust shatters, and someone decides not to break with it. Now let's begin. The betrayal she never saw coming. Elena had always believed that betrayal came with warning signs. A change in tone. A distant look. A hesitation before speaking. She believed that when someone was about to hurt you, your instincts would whisper something. A quiet alarm in the back of your mind. But the truth? Sometimes betrayal doesn't whisper. Sometimes it smiles at you across the table. Sometimes it celebrates your wins. Encourages your dreams. Stays late helping you polish your presentations. And then quietly takes everything you built. Elena never imagined Marcus would be that person. A bond built over years. They met in college. Two ambitious students with oversized dreams and barely enough money for coffee. They spent nights in cramped study rooms arguing over ideas, sketching business concepts on scrap paper, promising each other that one day they would build something extraordinary. Back then Marcus had seemed solid, reliable, sharp, driven. They balanced each other. Elena was creative, imaginative, detail-oriented, relentless when it came to perfection. Marcus was strategic, confident, charismatic, quick to speak in front of a room. Together, they were a powerful combination. Or so she thought. After graduation, they entered the same industry. By coincidence or fate, they ended up working at the same company. Slowly, naturally, their college partnership evolved into a professional one. They celebrated promotions together. Shared late-night strategy sessions. Helped each other through personal setbacks. Marcus had once told her, "If we stick together, nobody can outplay us." She believed him. That was her first mistake. The project that changed everything. Months before the betrayal, Elena began working on what she believed would be her defining project. It wasn't just another assignment. It was an opportunity. The kind that could fast-track a career. She poured herself into it. Not casually. Not halfway. Fully. She stayed late when others left. Skipped weekends. Rewrote entire sections when they didn't feel perfect. Marcus was involved, technically. He attended meetings. Added comments. Occasionally suggested revisions. But if Elena was honest with herself, she carried the weight. She told herself that partnerships were rarely 50-50. She told herself that trust meant not keeping score. So when small things began to feel off, she ignored them. A missing email thread. An idea Marcus presented in a meeting that sounded strangely like something she'd said privately days before. A contract draft she hadn't been copied on. She brushed it aside. Because trust makes you blind in the most dangerous ways. The message arrived on an ordinary afternoon. No dramatic thunderstorm. No tense confrontation. Just a simple notification. The sender was someone she barely knew. A former colleague from another department. The subject line was short. You deserve to know the truth. Her stomach tightened. There's a specific kind of fear that comes when you read words like that. Not panic. Not yet. Just a subtle dread. She opened the message. And everything changed. Evidence. Attached were screenshots. Emails. Contracts. Internal messages. At first, her brain refused to process it. Marcus had met privately with their boss. He had positioned himself as the primary architect of the project. He had negotiated terms that placed his name, and only his name, at the forefront. He signed agreements without her knowledge, claimed credit for the core concepts. Even worse, some of the messages revealed that this had been calculated, planned, strategic. He wasn't improvising. He had been building this narrative for weeks, maybe months. Elena stared at her screen as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less painful. They didn't. The first wave, disbelief. Disbelief is merciful. It gives you a few moments of numbness before reality sets in. She reread everything. Zoomed in on timestamps. compared writing styles, looked for inconsistencies, for loopholes, for explanations. There were none. Every detail aligned. Every message confirmed it. Marcus hadn't slipped. He hadn't misunderstood. He hadn't made an impulsive mistake. He had orchestrated this. While smiling at her. While brainstorming with her. While calling her partner. The second wave. Anger. It started in her chest. A tightness. Then heat in her ears. Then a sharp pulse behind her eyes. How could he? How could someone who had shared years of friendship, years of inside jokes and future plans, do something so deliberate? This wasn't just professional sabotage. It was personal betrayal. Every late night she had spent perfecting slides. Every confidential idea she had shared. Every moment of vulnerability. He had used it, weaponized it, and benefited from it. Her apartment felt smaller that night. She paced with her phone clutched tightly in her hand, replaying memories like broken film reels, laughing over cheap takeout, celebrating small wins, making promises about loyalty. Now every memory felt contaminated. The temptation of immediate revenge. Her first instinct? Confront him. Storm into his office. Throw the evidence on his desk. Watch his face drain of color. The image was intoxicating. There's something powerful about imagining the moment your betrayer realizes you know the truth. But another voice, quieter, steadier, whispered something else. Don't react. Respond. Impulsive anger might feel satisfying. But strategy wins wars. If she moved too soon, he could deny everything. Cover tracks. Spin the story. No. She needed patience. And patience is far more dangerous than rage. The internal battle. Here's the part no one talks about when they discuss betrayal. It's not just anger. It's confusion. Elena remembered times Marcus had genuinely supported her. When her father was ill, he had covered for her at work. When she doubted herself during a presentation, he had encouraged her. Were those moments fake? Or had something changed in him? Ambition? Insecurity? Fear of being overshadowed? Understanding his motives didn't excuse him. But it complicated her emotions. Because villains are easier to hate when they're simple. Marcus wasn't simple. He was human. And that made the pain deeper. From emotion to strategy. After days of sleepless nights, Elena made a decision. She would not be the victim in this story. She would not let anger control her. She would transform it. Channel it. Refine it. Her apartment became a strategy room. She printed emails. Created timelines. Highlighted inconsistencies. She analyzed everything like a chess player studying the board. Who knew what? When did they know it? What had already been signed? What could still be challenged? Each new detail strengthened her resolve. Marcus had underestimated her. That would be his second mistake. Watching quietly. At work, she became observant. Calm. Measured. She listened closely during meetings. Marcus subtly used phrases like, as I developed this concept. When I structured the framework. He was building a narrative in real time. But now she could see it. Office politics, something she had once ignored, became clear. Alliances. Subtle power plays. Private conversations. She noticed which executives he lingered around. Which colleagues he tried to charm. Which conversations abruptly stopped when she entered a room. The world hadn't changed. Her awareness had. The psychological shift. Something surprising happened. Her anger sharpened into clarity. She spoke less, but when she did, people listened. Her composure unsettled Marcus slightly. He couldn't read her anymore. She wasn't accusing. Not yet. She was gathering. Preparing. Building something stronger than revenge. Proof. Because revenge driven by emotion is explosive. Justice backed by evidence is unstoppable. The moral question. Late at night, doubt returned. Would exposing him destroy his career? Was she ready for the fallout? Office investigations. Awkward silences. Possible retaliation. And deeper than that, who did she want to be? It's easy to say, I want revenge. It's harder to ask, at what cost? She realized something critical. This wasn't just about punishing Marcus. It was about reclaiming her identity. He had stolen credit. He had manipulated narratives. But he could not steal her integrity unless she gave it up. Timing is power. Revenge is not just action. It's timing. Too early, and you look emotional. Too late, and the damage solidifies. She waited, watched, collected. She ensured copies of everything were stored securely. She quietly reached out to the colleague who sent the message, confirming authenticity. She verified contracts, checked digital signatures, cross-referenced metadata. Every step strengthened her position. Marcus was building his public victory. Elena was building something far more dangerous. The truth. The day approaches. Weeks passed. The project announcement loomed. A formal presentation would cement credit officially. If Marcus stood on that stage uncontested, the narrative would become permanent. She chose her moment carefully. Not in a hallway. Not in anger. But in a structured executive meeting, where evidence matters more than emotion. Calm before the storm. The morning of the meeting, Elena felt strangely calm. Not numb. Not furious. Focused. She dressed deliberately. Organized her documents. Backed up digital copies. Marcus smiled at her when she entered the conference room. The same familiar smile. But now she saw it clearly. A mask. He began presenting confidently, speaking about his vision, his strategy, his framework. And then, Elena spoke. The confrontation. She didn't accuse. She asked questions. Precise. Controlled. Could you clarify when this concept was initially drafted? He answered confidently. She opened her laptop, displayed timestamped drafts with her authorship. Silence filled the room. She moved to the next slide. Private emails. Signed agreements. Side-by-side comparisons. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't attack his character. She presented facts. The room shifted. Marcus's confidence cracked. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked uncertain. Power reclaimed. The executives requested a pause. Further investigation. Documentation review. Marcus avoided her eyes. But Elena didn't feel triumph. She felt steady, grounded, because this was never about humiliating him. It was about reclaiming what was hers. In the days that followed, the company conducted a review. The evidence was undeniable. Credit was corrected. Contracts amended. Marcus faced consequences, formal reprimands and removal from leadership on the project. Some relationships fractured permanently, but something stronger formed within Elena. Self-trust. The real victory. Revenge can be intoxicating. But clarity? Clarity is powerful. Elena realized the true battle wasn't against Marcus. It was against her own fear. Her own temptation to react impulsively. Her own doubt. She had chosen strategy over chaos. Integrity over destruction. And in doing so she emerged stronger. Betrayal didn't break her. It refined her. Final reflection. Marcus had underestimated her patience, her intelligence, her restraint. But more importantly, he had underestimated her ability to evolve. The office returned to normal. But Elena was no longer the same. She trusted, but verified. Collaborated, but documented. Believed in people, but never blindly. And if there's one lesson she carried forward, it was this. When betrayal strikes, you have two choices. Let it define you, or let it sharpen you. Elena chose the second. And that choice changed everything. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been betrayed, underestimated, or taken for granted, remember this. Your reaction is your power. Don't give it away. And if you want more stories like this, stories about strength, justice, and transformation, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join this journey. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is becoming unstoppable.